What's going on, y'all? KMManbun here to give you the lowdown on a recently buffed deck starring Ronan the Accuser in a lockdown shell. This is the list, and it may be familiar to many viewers of this channel. It's not all that different from the lockdown lists that were terrorizing ladder in recent weeks. However, what it has added is the disruption of Master Mold and the size of Ronan the Accuser, as well as using Mystique as a force multiplier, not just on Ronan, but on Miss Marvel, allowing you to go both wide and tall with unusual acuity for a lockdown deck. This is the major thing differentiating it from other decks in the archetype. You can be a great Miss Marvel deck, Miss Marvel on 4, Mystique on 5, Doom on 6. That's really, really powerful. You are able to equally spread a lot of power across all three lanes, and if you've locked one of them down with a storm, you are likely winning it on the back end with a plan like that. However, alternate plan is you lock a lane down with a storm, you make a gigantic Ronan the Accuser and win another lane, and then you make a gigantic Mystiqued Ronan the Accuser and win that third lane, and your opponent might not be able to deal with all of those things happening at once. Mystique is, I think, the real gain that this shell sees over the more traditional lockdown decks. Being able to be used as a force multiplier both on Miss Marvel and on Ronan is an extremely powerful thing to do. However, don't sleep on Maximus. Maximus as a 2/6 is a great pair, of course, with Mystique on one of the powerful ongoing cards, but even if you're not doing that, let's say you played a Ronan on turn 5, and then your turn 6 is suddenly Miss Marvel and Maximus, which is a 21 power turn without the Ronan. With the Ronan, that is a 25 power turn. That's an extremely large amount of power. It is a big swing. And being able to do that in an archetype that has traditionally struggled to output points is unique and powerful. There are a couple elephants in the room here. First of all, you are playing a deck that puts cards in your opponent's hand, and Loki decks will, for the most part, be very okay with that happening. However, it's not as bad as it seems. If they don't draw the card Loki, you can kind of make sure that keeps happening. It's very difficult for many Loki decks to actually properly manage their hand size so that they continue to draw. I'm not saying this is a foolproof strategy, just that it's not as auto-win as you might think. Second elephant is that this deck is actually not locked into being a lockdown deck. The only things that make this a lockdown deck are actually Storm and Nebula, and if you wanted to be a bit more reactive with how you played the game, or if you wanted to include answers to popular metagame threats, you could stop being a lockdown deck and start being maybe some sort of a Zabu type, Enchantress type, Shang-Chi type deck. I have no objections to that. I just think that right now, I don't want to include answers to my own threats in my deck and thus give them to Loki and make an already slightly poor matchup into one that is dramatically poor. One of the reasons I like Nebula and Storm here is because they are asymmetrically good for you and bad for Loki players. Nebula is going to be a lot bigger for you on turn 1 than it will be for them on turn 5. Storm is going to win you lanes on turn 3 that it will not do for them on turn 5. And those are the main things that I like about this configuration into that specific matchup, which I know I get a lot of comments that are like, oh, nobody plays Loki, it's not very good. I don't know what to tell you other than it is very good, especially at the high end of ladder, and that means that I do have to prepare for it. If you don't see Loki, then this deck's actually better. It's actually like a much better deck if you're not seeing it. So if you're ready to type up one of those comments, I think you should try this out. Third elephant is Baron Mordo. Baron Mordo is a card a lot of people run, and frankly, in my experience, both playing the deck and playing against the deck, it's not good. Don't play Baron Mordo. Most of the time it's played against me, I'm like, oh, sweet, another card in my hand. It's very rare for it to hit the actual card you want it to hit, or to be playing against a deck where it has a majority of good hits, rather than just drawing cards for your opponent, even in an inefficient way. Especially against Loki, it is just a very, very bad card. And I think it's just a very bad card generally. When you look at the competition that it has, Master Mold puts more cards in your opponent's hand, Maximus puts more cards in your opponent's hand and is also bigger, and so you end up in this spot where it is very rarely going to be better than those two as an option, so you end up looking at swapping Jeff out for it in your lockdown deck, which I just don't like. Nebula is a great card in this lockdown type strategy, but she's far from being required, in my opinion. I think that the main thing you should be looking for as to whether or not you want to keep running this list with Nebula is the presence of Killmonger. Obviously, if you're investing pretty heavily in a Nebula to try to win you a lane, you are going to be very sad when your 1/7 gets blown up for free. That's something that you are going to try to avoid. If you run into a lot of Killmonger, I think one replacement you could make would be Spider-Ham. This deck has some pretty defined weaknesses, and hitting a chance to actually get rid of one of those is genuinely pretty useful. Spider-Ham also is a little bit more targeted than people tend to think. A lot of cards in these decks are going to be gradually moving to the side of the hand that Spider-Ham hits as other cards are played. So on 3, on 4, you can really try to hit key cards. Spider-Ham on 3 to hit Loki, Spider-Ham on 4 to hit things like Annihilus. You can really try to get that done. It is a viable option. However, Nebula is really big and can be really game-winning. There are situations where Nebula Storm is enough to lock down a lane entirely. You can make a game plan that goes Nebula Storm, Miss Marvel, and then you can just play Ronan, play Mystique, and threaten the other 2 lanes and know that that lane that you put the Nebula Storm in is probably just going to win anyway. Iceman is in here for 2 major reasons. The first is, of course, I think Iceman is actually due for something of a renaissance, an Iceman-essence, if you will. That is because Iceman has a lot of good targets in the metagame right now. There are decks that are looking to play very specific cards on turn 3, on turn 4, that don't actually have other options to go for. And I don't mean Loki. Loki is fine playing Loki on turn 5. They don't really care. What I do mean is stuff like the Tribunal deck. The Tribunal deck really wants to say, I don't know, play Wave on turn 3. That's a pretty important thing that it wants to do. Hitting that wave can mean that they could have no actual plays on their entire turn 3. It's possible. Decks that want to play early game in a specific order often and have a lot of top end hits are really poor into the card Iceman. So I think right now he's a very good 1-drop on his own. The second reason why he's good here is actually a little bit more obvious. When you compare him to Korg, Iceman's the one that keeps cards in your opponent's hand. When you get a Korg, you draw the rock, you can get rid of that. Iceman does the opposite. So not only is he well positioned, he's also synergistic with what this deck is trying to do. Master Mold is, I think, a little less good than people seem to think. His disruptive capacity is not overwhelming in my opinion, except in one matchup. Master Mold ruins Thanos decks. Ruins them. And you should actually, in that matchup, keep in mind how priority works, because if you can take priority and you can put Sentinels in their hand when they're playing a bunch of stones, oh my god. They don't even get the draws from their own stones. They get 2/3s instead. And Thanos does not want to be playing 2/3s, especially when they prevent them from getting further draws. This card absolutely ruins that matchup. In this video, you're going to see footage from a Gold Conquest. In the third game, it's a matchup against a very good player on Thanos, like a guy I recognize from like top 2 to 500 ladder. Good player on Thanos, and Master Mold is just amazing. He is okay a lot of places. He ruins Thanos. You're a lockdown deck, and while I do think that if you really wanted to invest in Baron Mordo and you just were desperate to find a deck to play him, you could cut Jeff for Baron Mordo, I think it's just a terrible idea. I think you should not do that. I think Jeff is so much better that it's not even close. If Baron Mordo had more upside to him, like if his disruption was better, like Master Mold, or if his stats were better, like Maximus, we could talk about it, but right now he has the same stats as Jeff and just a worse effect, even in a Ronan deck. I'm not saying they should buff Baron Mordo. I don't think they should, but I also don't think you should play him. The funny thing about 2/6 Maximus is that he is almost as good in this deck as he would have been as a 3/7, because a lot of your ideal turn 6s are Mystique plus Maximus, where Mystique is usually copying a Ronin, and that plan can happen anyway. However, one thing that him being a 2/6 really does unlock is those final turn Miss Marvel plus Maximus plays. Very strong. And this is another situation where Jeff comes into play being able to move your Jeff out of the lane your Maximus is going in so that you don't end up ruining your own Miss Marvel buff is honestly kind of important, and it does help to have that ability to make that happen, to make that play be a 21-point play rather than a 16-point play. Pretty important in my opinion. Now, of course, with Ronan and Mystique, Maximus goes from being a 2-6 to like, a 2-10, a 2-14, depending on how you look at it. He ends up being one of the most cost-efficient threats in the entire game in this deck, and that does help because your opponent has to play around a wide variety of possible turn 6s from you. You can do the Ronan on turn 5 into Mystique Maximus. You can go for a Dr. Doom. You can go for a Miss Marvel and Maximus. You can do a lot of powerful stuff here, and it is definitely a deck that pins your opponent on having to choose one thing to play around and then play around it. Mystique is the major power add that this deck gets over previous iterations of the Lockdown deck. Think of it a bit like trading Professor X for real power. She's what you get for being a Ronan deck. You can't really run Mystique when your only other ongoing is going to be Miss Marvel. But if you have two really good targets for Mystique, and you do in this deck because Ronan is huge, you actually are able to run Mystique, and that is a good thing. You are very happy being able to run Mystique. And I think that that is the major gain that this deck makes based on, compared to, previous pre-patch versions of the list. Mystique is a core card. She is extremely strong as a force multiplier in this list, copying either of the two very powerful ongoing effects that this deck has access to. Don't leave home without her. You know how we add cards to our opponent's hand, and that there's a deck out there that really likes having a full hand, and then it turns that full hand into your cards at a discount? At least we can stop them from getting a discount. Mobius M. Mobius is a concession to the Loki matchup, and I don't necessarily oppose the idea of cutting him, but also I found that he's just kind of good a lot of places. So, for example, you are not a deck that really wants to run Enchantress because of your reliance on ongoings. Mobius actually is very good against decks like Living Tribunal because of how reliant they are on discounts. They have 4 cards that give discounts in the deck. They have Ravonna Renslayer, they have Zabu, they have Wave, they have Sarah, and they really are trying to use those to surprise you. Mobius can really turn that deck off, and I think in addition to the Loki matchup, having a card for that matchup really helps you because you otherwise just don't have anything for it. And that is sort of why I like Mobius in here right now. I think those are 2 very important matchups that you have to respect. He also has some incidental, he hits Zabu decks, he hits Beast decks. Any deck that can really afford to play him probably should be playing him right now. He's quite good. And I do think that this is a very worthy inclusion, even if you don't see a lot of Loki. He's hitting a lot of stuff right now, and this is a deck that sort of lacks for very synergistic 3-drops, and so has the ability to play a card like Mob. What do I even say about her at this point? Miss Marvel is one of the strongest cards in the game of Marvel Snap. I've seen people move on from complaining about Loki to complaining about her, and frankly, this deck is built to make more people complain about her. Oh, you like Miss Marvel? What if I Mystique her and play a Maximus on turn 5 and then play a Dr. Doom? I hope you like 415s because I have a ton of them in here, and that is pretty much the ethos of the deck. She is unbelievable. Of course, she's great with Storm and Nebula. Why would she not be great with Storm? She's amazing in that context. And you're just sort of leaning into that a little bit. She's so good, so strong, so powerful, 415, and you have Jeff to make up for your mistakes. You don't even have a lot of cards that overlap in terms of cost anyway. The major one you're going to want to keep in mind is 3 for Mystique, so you don't want to like ruin your Mystique placement in the future if you need to put like a Mystique in an off lane. You do have Storm, which is going to lock itself off, but you also have like a Mobius that might be down there, and you do have to keep that kind of stuff in mind. For 2s, you're often fine because you can move your Jeff around, and for 1s, you only really run 2 of them. The 3 is going to be the one that actually ends up giving you problems, and you will have to think about, what if I draw Miss Marvel? How do I win the game if I do that? Please do spend the whole game playing like you might need to play her. I've talked about this deck for a little bit now, and I don't think I've mentioned Iron Lad once, but yeah, Iron Lad's really good. It's just like he's not a card that's incredibly special in the deck. He's just really good. You have some insane hits off of Iron Lad. You have some really broken things you can do. Iron Lad Doom, pretty disgusting. Iron Lad Miss Marvel, pretty disgusting. Iron Lad Ronan, pretty disgusting. Like, these are very straightforward, amazing hits. There is, on the other hand, one really bad one, and that is Maximus. It can be very, very bad to hit Maximus. I think it's just worth the risk that you hit Maximus in order to run this card. Iron Lad's hits are too good when it hits, and there's only really one that makes you super sad. Even Mystique, like, yeah, okay, that's not great, but it's still a 4/6. It's not the end of the world, and maybe you end up copying something relevant. Who knows? Do keep in mind what's in your deck when you play this guy, though. I think a lot of the time people will end up playing him on an off lane when he could hit a Miss Marvel, so you are incentivized to play him in the middle when Miss Marvel is in your deck if he has the ability to hit her. You're also incentivized to play him off of lanes that sort of influence ongoings because so many of the things that you want to hit in the deck are ongoing. So just keep in mind what you have in your deck when you play him, and he is a great, again, we mentioned this a couple times, force multiplier here. When he hits those cards, he is absolutely going nuts. This dude is big as hell. I've thought a lot about why this makes sense and Devil Dinosaur doesn't in the same context, and I think the major reason is that Ronan is now about equally sized, but doesn't require as much commitment because there are more cards that add multiple cards to your opponent's hand than there are cards that add multiple cards to your hand. Now, this is mostly on the power of Maximus and Master Mold, but also it's because Ronan's base power is a little bit higher. So you have to invest less in keeping your opponent's hand 100% full and just keep it like pretty full and he'll be pretty big. And that's the real, I guess, secret to this guy is that as a 4/5, Enchantress comes down and it's like, okay, yeah, you got rid of the extra power, but he's still got 5 base power. And it's like, oh, wait, that's like non-negligible. And I think that's the other thing this deck leverages pretty well is that even when you answer things like, you know, Miss Marvel or Ronan, yes, you answered it, but also it's still got 5 power if you Enchantressed it. The one you're really scared of is Rogue. That's horrifying. That is the absolute end of the world. You are going to want to think about like positioning your Mobius in such a way as to make those rogues 50/50s because it will come up and you do not want your opponent to have a 100% guaranteed rogue on you. I like Dr. Doom here, but I do think that Alioth is a very, very powerful inclusion here as well. Alioth fits a little bit better into your games where you play something along the lines of, you know, Nebula, Storm, then you lock up that lane, you winning that lane, you have a big Ronin in another lane, and the thing that actually beats you is, you know, that rogue we talked about. So when you're in those situations, Alioth ends up a lot stronger than Dr. Doom. When you're in a situation where you're just spreading power across the board willy-nilly and you're not overly worried about something like a rogue, Dr. Doom ends up a lot stronger. He also enables these late game kind of bursts of power in the sense that like you have very viable plans that involve distributing 10 power from the mid lane and then playing a Dr. Doom off of something like, you know, Miss Marvel, Mystique, Maximus, and then Dr. Doom. So that is definitely a powerful line to take. However, I do think that there are worlds where Alioth ends up as a better finisher. So if you want to experiment with that, I honestly consider it a little bit of a coin flip between these two right now because of those specific situations where Alioth is just so game-winning against these late sandbagged tech cards. You might end up in a spot where Alioth is the better option. I think Doom is a bit more of a generalist, and I think that's totally fine. That's why he's in there. But there are going to be, if you find yourself in those situations, you find yourself missing Alioth, you find yourself in a lot of spots where, man, I really just wish I had an Alioth for this Ronin lane because that Storm lane is totally fine. You can make that swap if you want. All right, yo, I hope you enjoyed that look at the Ronin Lockdown archetype, which is my favorite Ronin deck. And I hope what you took away from it isn't just, oh, I'm going to net deck this and farm. I mean, you know, I hope that does happen for you. But also an understanding of just how mutable this deck can be and just how easy it is to make it a bunch of different configurations that can all serve different purposes. Ronan the Accuser has not been viable for an extremely long time, and right now, I think is the closest he's ever come to being legitimately good. This is an underrated archetype. Oh my god. This is an underrated archetype, and I highly encourage you to experiment, because right now, I consider this just the starting point. We're going to jump into a Gold Conquest, where I played this deck to great success, and I hope to see you in the next one. As always, I've been KM Best. Thank you for making it this far in the video. I just hit the microphone. I hope you couldn't hear it. I appreciate you. I hit it again. I will see you in the next one. We're not very good at this, but we do have Mobius for the raft if needed. What's the best concert you've ever seen? Run the Jewels. Easily. Yes! Yes! We're living the dream, chat. Run the Jewels 4 is better? No. Incorrect. Their best album is actually Run the Jewels 1. Not even close, actually. They get progressively worse, and I'm not even joking. People hate that take, but it's true. They jumped the shark exactly at Meow the Jewels. Oh my god, my throat just started hurting. What the fuck? How good is Mobius? Okay. Please do not have the card on Eliath. That'd be very nice. Shuri. Is that a fucking Nimrod? Are they about to play a fucking Nimrod? Am I about to get fucking shit on here? My god. I guess my follow-up question is, do I even lose to that? If I go Ronan into Doom? Okay. So far we've seen Nova, X-23, Bucky Barnes, and Shuri. Did Iceman hit Nimrod? I just realized. Did Iceman hit Nimrod? Oh my god, Iceman fucks them up so bad, actually. Hit either Shuri or Nimrod, and it totally ruins them. Okay. Okay. I just realized that. Shout out to Iceman. Might be a Storm Ronin angle. I don't feel confident in any of my stuff due to the card Killmonger potentially existing. Ugh. What are my hits here? Mold, Jeff, Maximus, Mystique, Miss Marvel. They snap me. Do not DM me your music folder. Absolutely not. Under no circumstances. That's not how I do business. Okay, so the real worry is, again, just like the Nimrod stuff, right? Like, I'm a Storm deck. Investing in Storm seems quite bad in a Nimrod world. Investing in Storm seems quite unpleasant in a Nimrod world. Okay, they're playing Colossus, which instantly makes me feel like they have no idea what they're doing. Okay, they snap me. I am gonna stay in it. I still lose to the Shuri shit, but what can you do? It might be a destroyer deck. I'm gonna stay in it just to figure out how this goes. Okay. Is my rod about to get nimmed on? Because, like, that happens regardless, you know what I mean? Is that a Nimrod? Okay. Can we beat it? 10, 15. Answer is probably not, but I want to find out. I'll play it. Oh, we win. Oh, wait. As long as that doesn't go right. Okay, we're good. Yeah, we win. Easy game, easy life. Just have to beat 12 on either side, dude. Just have to beat 12 on either side, dude. Marvel Doom, pretty good at dealing with the 12 split, right? Because we are a deck that has a 10 split. So as long as we can get around that, hence the Jeff move up there. There's some very scary shit that can happen in that Bar Sinister over here. Would a Rogue be a good alternative to Mobius? I don't think so. Some immensely scary shit can happen over there. Bar Sinister Iceman? Jesus. I don't even know if I'm playing any cards. Now that I've drawn the Doom, I feel stupid about this fucking play. I think I'm just holding here. Because the Doom gets to just, like, dump power across the board, right? So we get to be like, can you beat that? And depending on the answer, it could be yes, right? We aren't going to be able to Ronan. Fucking Dream Dimension. But they can't Nimrod. So what's happening here? They can't Nimrod. Wait, whoa, 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 whoa. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. They can't. Oh no. Oh no. And they're locked in too. That's a full 4. Emote that location? I would never. I would never. Oh! But then again, we kind of just eat shit to Loki anyway. Which is the major issue we have. As an archetype. Holy shit, that's a scorpion. Okay. Okay. The fuck is this? Am I losing now? I hope I don't get Eliath. I hope I don't get Eliath. Okay, that is not an Eliath. That is a Sentinel, so we're going to win the right lane. And that is an Enchantress, so we're going to win this lane too. We win every lane. Very nice. Honestly, what I feel like I'm learning from this is that Lockdown is good. And whether Ronan is in it or not is not actually kind of important, is it? Like... Lockdown is good. And I think that's just enough to go on, right? The run deck where the most important card is Miss Marvel. Right. Like, it's actually just a Miss Marvel Doom deck, but I like what Storm is doing, yeah? Oh, fuck. Oh, we're so screwed. Oh, we're so screwed. Oh, we're so screwed. Oh, never mind. We're not screwed anymore, chat. We popped off. We're actually geniuses. Wait, no, they have Enchantress. I never do that. Holy shit, that's a big sunspot. Okay, I'm missing Shadow King here. I'm missing that conceptually. Okay. This is not my favorite thing I've ever done. Because they are going to Enchantress the fuck out of it. But if we can take priority here, and draw like Mystique or something, it's a very winnable game. Okay, yeah, winnable. Not like easy to win, but winnable. Oh my god, are we actually about to win this? Oh my god. Oh my god, dude. Draw 2. Draw. Wait, no, we're not about to win this. What the fuck? We maxed out on our Ronin. We suck! We maxed out our Ronin. I should have actually done that math, but I didn't. Damn, Cyclops Sunspot just a little too good. Weird that that was winnable, but we did not win it. Good luck. Okay, our Ronin is useless, but we have a Doom. Whoa, they snap on that. Whoa! Probably off a Sunspot. I'm good to leave. Yeah, our Ronin is not a card. And if they have a Sunspot, I don't think we can ever win a point battle there. That's kind of interesting. Okay, so their whatchamacallit guy. Their guy. Abomination is never getting discounted. That Shocker's never getting. I probably just actually snap this. I probably just snap the Mobius. Snap the Mobius into double Titan that I have that they don't. Seems good. I will happily play a Nebula over there. Sunspot, solid. Oh my. Here's an interesting situation. Here's a very interesting situation. They snapped me back. Okay, maybe I'm gonna die here. I haven't figured it out. We're kind of gambling on the flooded location, I think. Never mind. Yeah, you got it, dude. Haha. Ha A genius. A god. The smartest man alive. That is what some people call me. That is what most people call me. So what's our worry here? Enchantress plus Soak could beat us. So our job then is to play around Enchantress plus Soak. Yes? I'm going to do that. Shang. Plus Misty Knight. Yeah, not enough. Cool, but not enough. There's no way. Why not Doom? My thought process with Doom was that I would get owned if he was able to play the Shang and just soak in the middle. I'd get owned. That was my thought process, at least. They're getting molded on. So Doom won in almost every situation other than Shang Soak. But that was a reasonable enough concern that I felt like I had to deal with it. Maximilian? Yeah. That's our guy. Demon? Sure. Why Marvel right and not mid there? I wanted the power there, and then I was gonna do this in order to make sure. Look at this, by the way. Look at what happened here. I wanted to do this, right? Now they don't know I have a Jeff. I really hope I don't get blarveled. That's my main concern here is I get blarveled, and I don't know if I can do anything about that. Vlad always Doom. It is a 50-50, and we are going to do that, but never blarvel. Okay, they just left. Never blarvel. Nebula in the monster lane is pretty slick, I think. Now he's not snapping the turn one Mind Stone. We learned something. Or he learned something. Yo, Red Lion, thank you for the Prime. 4 months, currently on a 1-month streak. It is much appreciated. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ray Arthur, hola, hola. Ronan's going to become so popular. I don't think Ronan is wonderful right now, but we're working on it. We're trying to find that out. We're trying to find that out. Yeah, I think they have more 6s than I do. Holy shit. We're gonna do a best decks thing soon. Don't worry about that. Uh-huh. How am I dying here? Oh, brother! Oh, brother, no! No, we're in the process of finding that out, though, Rook. What I'm trying to find out right now is if this deck is good enough to go on the tier list. And right now, honestly, it's kind of looking like it might be, but a lot... Oh, man, this guy stinks! Indeed. Oh, brother, this guy stinks. Huh. Hold on, I'll be right back. I think my girlfriend might have just got home. Whoa, goddamn. The Nexus, huh? The Nexus, huh? Alright, I got a strategy. Cable Pool is really good. Holy fuck. We got rolled? I'm feeling like he's setting up for a reality stone. Oh, never mind. Okay. Okay. That's fine. So here's the question. Does he run a Shang-Chi of some kind? Does he run a Shang-Chi of some kind, and did he get it? Null does protect, but it loses to literally everything else. You see the issue? Null loses to literally everything else. There's also the consideration of moving Vision back. Okay, so here's the thing I'm thinking of doing. Is this the Reality Stone? God, please tell me I'm right. Okay, we're good. We're good. If we had played the Null there, we were dead. Want you to know that. I was worried about, like, Reality Stone type thing, as well as whatever the fuck. We're just kind of guessing right here, basically. These could very easily go the other way. We're big guessers, but Master Mold's a good card. Master Mold's a good card against Thanos. Honest to God. Bricks their shit up badly. Ronan held it down, hell yeah. I did, if you're wondering, snap on this Master Mold. That did happen. Look at that. They're not drawing a card now. They just went from 5 cards in hand to 7. Nice Sentinel, dude. No! I needed that. Oh, fuck. Okay. That's slick. I do like it. Okay. All right, we got the Ronin down early. That's all right. Good on us for getting that guy down. No Shang, no Shang, no Shang. No Shang, no Shang, no Shang. Okay, we're good. We're good, baby. We got him.